All right, good evening, everyone. Today's date is April 21st. Time is 6:01, and I'm calling this special planning and zoning meeting, board meeting to order. And first thing I need is an approval of the agenda. And please note the change for 24-26 has been removed, and our planning director will repeat that when she comes back up. So is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Okay, the motion has been moved and properly seconded. Any discussion on the agenda from the dais? Any from the public? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Motion passes unanimous. Okay. All right, please rise if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and all right, fantastic. Madam Hectus, you want to read into the record the 24-26 change, madam?
Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, Stacy Hectus, Community Development Department. Item LDR 24-26, rezoning from agriculture to planned residential development, PRD, on 160 acres called Countryway 2, parcel ID 02539-001-00000. This item has been requested to be removed by the applicant or their representative on April 13th, 2026. So this item will not be heard this evening. We have advertised it per the applicant for the May 4th meeting at 6 p.m. in the same building.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, thank you very much. And Ms. Lauren, you're carrying us through the second item, LDR 2511. All right, come on down. Make sure the microphone's on, and
Yes.
I'll have the quasi-judicial proceeding to read into the record. Actually, let me just go ahead and do that first. The quasi-judicial means that the commission or the board in this case will stop being a legislative body and become a judicial board, which means that we have to follow certain rules and adhere to different standards of decision making. The primary rule we must follow concerns testimony, and the substantial and competent evidence standard must be met when the judicial board makes a decision. This standard states the following: all public testimony will be taken under oath. Everyone testifying will be subject to cross-examination. All documents and exhibits shall be entered into evidence. The giving of opinion testimony is limited to experts, and closing arguments will be limited to the evidence of record. And just for purposes of this, again, just to restate, this is just an advisory board. Okay. Madam Attorney, could you read into the record the ordinance or resolution by title only?
And we just do petitions now for the Planning and Zoning Board, so no need.
Okay. And do we need to swear in the applicant and staff?
Yes, we can.
Okay, all right. So if you are going to be speaking tonight on this item, and you're the applicant, staff, or some kind of participant, please just stand, raise your right hand, face the attorney, and let's go ahead.
I'll read a statement, and then if you'll affirm or say yes afterwards. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you will give in this petition hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Very good.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. So before we begin, we'll need to disclose any ex parte communications, disclose whether any member physically inspected the property. Ex parte communications are any conversations or transmission of information that may have bearing or influence on a voting member's decision. And we'll begin, I do not have anything to disclose. I am not a non-voting member of the advisory, but just for the record. Madam Parker?
No.
Madam Thomas? Madam Carey?
None.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, we'll begin the presentations at this time with staff overview. Go ahead, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You got it.
So this is a rezoning, petition number LDR 25-11 for Newberry Ridge. It is it's a proposed change from agricultural to planned residential development, or PRD. And so recommended action is the choices are to approve the petition with conditions, or to deny the petition. And then as a refresher, the Planning and Zoning Board will review and recommend as a petition, and then the city attorney will place this on the schedule to write the ordinance or a resolution and take it to the city commission. So planned residential development, or PRD, zoning district, it's a customized zoning district compared to our straight zoning categories. So more time is required to draft these ordinances. So an overview of the request, it's just a refresher, this is a companion rezoning to the recent petition. It was the April 6th Planning and Zoning Board, the regular Planning and Zoning Board meeting. There was a petition for the future land use change from mixed use to residential medium density. That was April 6th, 2026. And as a refresher, the future land use map is connected to the comprehensive plan. It's more general, and it covers a horizon year of 10 to 20 years. The zoning maps are connected to the land development regulations, the LDRs. It's what's on the ground now. It's much more specific. It guides design standards and construction, setbacks, a lot of those things that you hear about with the zoning. So this is a petition for rezoning from agricultural to planned residential development. The applicant is Florida Land Development Partners, 1 LLC, on behalf of owner FH Newberry LLC. Again, requesting approval for the rezoning of about 226 acres, generally located north of Southwest 30th Avenue and about 1/8 of a mile east of US Highway 27. And the custom rezoning request is for 1,250 dwelling units. So here's an overview of the property. There are a lot of parcels, I think about 8 or 9 parcels in this in the subject property. It's outlined in blue, sort of right in the middle of the screen. And so here's on the left, the current zoning, which is agricultural. On the right is the proposed zoning, which is PRD. And just as a refresher, again, the future land use, the proposed future land use, which was heard on April 6th at the last PZB meeting. On the left, the current mix is mixed use, and then the proposed is residential medium density. Here's a general timeline of the application received in June 2025. There were several reviews, 3 reviews through January 2026, internal reviews. And then in January 2026, we requested a current transportation impact analysis that's still being reviewed. And then April 6th, again, 2026, the future land use map amendment. It's a large scale map amendment, meaning it's over 50 acres. That was heard from the PZB on April 6th. We'll be at the next commission meeting. And after that, perhaps transmitted to the state for expedited review. And just as a refresher, the state expedited review is about 45 days. It is for anything that's large scale, over 50 acres. And once it's sent to the state, it's also sent to other state departments for review, and then comes back for second public hearing after that. And so the criteria for planned residential development is pretty specific in our land development regulations. The intent is it's a category that includes 1 zone district. The purpose of the district is to permit planned residential developments with these intentions, these 6 intentions: to encourage the development of planned residential development of land, to encourage flexible and creative concepts of site planning, to preserve the natural amenities of the land by encouraging scenic and functional open areas, to accomplish a more desirable environment than would be possible through strict application of the minimum requirements of these land development regulations, to provide for an efficient use of land resulting in smaller networks of utilities and streets, and thereby lowering development and housing costs, and to provide a stable environmental character compatible with surrounding areas. And just a reminder that the recommendation by the PZB is to approve the petition with conditions, or to deny the petition. And the applicant is here, and we'll do a presentation also.
Okay, Lauren, before you leave, I know those are the options, but what is the actual recommendation from staff at this point?
So the application is consistent with land development regulations and with the comprehensive plan.
Okay, all right. Mr. and Mrs. Applicant, which one of you is doing the applicant presentation? Okay, we're ready for that now? Okay, give her a little tutorial on the
Oh,
on
yeah,
the mouse.
okay.
Oh, you did? Okay, all right.
I think you can see the mouse. It's just a click. There you go. Slides us.
See it. Good evening, Mayor, members of the
morning.
board, everyone. My name is Maribel Nicholson Choice, and I'm an environmental and land use attorney with Greenberg Charg Law Firm in Tallahassee. I've been practicing for approximately 30 years in this area. I once chaired the Tallahassee Leon Planning Commission. And so I'm really happy to be here today. As you heard from your presentation, you heard from my partner at the April 6th meeting in regard to the comp plan amendment, and I'm here on the rezoning of the Newberry Ridge project from agriculture to planned residential development. I wanted to just point out that this particular position of the project provides you with a wonderful opportunity to collaborate with the developer in this regard. This rezoning provides key elements that are available to you. It helps expand the diversity of the housing available in Newberry beyond single-family homes for residents and future residents of Newberry. This project also supports growth within your urban service area. The property is located where your board and your city has decided that they wanted development, honoring your goals in terms of development within Newberry. It creates a meaningful opportunity for open space as compared to the 2010 development project. You will have open space, continuity and connectivity within a neighborhood as proposed by this project. It promotes a thoughtful, planned neighborhood where your staff has input with the developer and where the developers is seeking and wanting to incorporate the Newberry community vision of this development. This also provides residential roofs or more customers for your local businesses. As I came through town, I took a look at your town and I saw that you have a downtown businesses and that this would provide more customers for your businesses. This slide here just reiterates what happened on April 6th when you consider the comp plan amendment. And I wanted to fast forward to the slide, which is something that we found on your community website, where you identify the income level of the average person in Newberry and the median cost of housing. One of the goals of this developer is to be responsive to the market for Newberry and provide a diverse pool of housing beyond single-family houses for people who might not be able to afford a six-figure home. And these could be young families, it could be young adults, or children that are just not able in this market to afford a single-family house. So again, this project presents an opportunity for you to develop within the urban service area. It controls your growth and again, incorporates the city's goals in terms of where they want to see growth. It encourages flexible residential development in regard to the input that staff has provided. We have made significant changes to the project. The approved project has, for example, 449 lots are approved on the 2010 Newberry Master Plan project. I want to call that the old project, but it's actually what's in place now and what you have a unique opportunity to change today by continuing the second part of this process of amending the comp plan and then rezoning. The existing project allowed for 300 units, a total of 999 units, and 40 acres plus or minus of commercial. We've eliminated that in this project. You have no town center in this project. Here's just a little layout of the project, a conceptual one where you can see where the connectivity is intended to be north of the project and south of the project in collaboration with the development that's there, which is located there at this time. We're proposing a 1,802 units. Again, we've eliminated the commercial use. We're proposing 850 lots and 400 multifamily units with a total of 1,250 units. We are increasing the units, but we are decreasing the intensity by taking out the commercial town center. So as I reviewed this project, I thought what a wonderful opportunity for Newberry to control how they wanted this project to be developed, where they want it to be developed, and preserving the neighborhood and culture of the city. We feel like based on our internal analysis that there's a need, and we found that companies locate where there is employee housing, and this will provide housing, more diverse housing for maybe those that can't afford a single family house. The diversity of products for the residents is something that we think that future and current Newberry residents are needing. It's attainable in terms of the diversity of the housing that will be provided beyond single family houses, so that it can be achieved by someone that might be a young family member or young adult, or even a single mother these days that might not be able to afford a six-figure home. This right here just provides a development standard comparison. And as you can see that there's some flexibility. I just wanted to point out, for example, that the square footage of the house here, the minimum square footage we're proposing is 5,000. That doesn't mean that every single house is going to be on a 5,000 square foot lot. Some are going to be larger, some are, but there will be a minimum size. And you can see that we do an extreme improvement on the buffers. The buffer zones enlarged, as we're proposing, is enlarging it by 300 and 400%. Again, I talked a little bit about the park. The open space required here will be increased open space by 50%, but it also provides a community anchoring amenity, which the staff needs and express a desire for the community to have. Again, being consistent with the goals of the city. There's a proposed recreation area where each one of the residential parcels will be responsible to choose one of these amenities that vary from a dog park to active recreational field, creating, again, connectivity between neighbors and a community anchoring neighborhood along with the open space. As I reviewed this project, I just thought it was such a wonderful opportunity for Newberry to develop the way Newberry wants to develop. And positioning the land use the way we are now, where you're considering this rezoning, would be supportive of all of the reasons why I would think that you would want to develop Newberry in response to the needs of residents and in response to the staff's requests, and in an effort of the developer to incorporate Newberry's vision for what they would like development to look like in their community. So for that reason, we request that you recommend approval of this rezoning. And if you have any questions, I have members of my team here that are available to answer questions.
Okay. We appreciate the presentation. We'll actually get to questions in just a minute. Is there any comments from the public or at that part of the order? Going once? No? No? Okay. Very good. I've not been contacted by any third-party interveners at all. And is the applicant wishing to cross-examine anything from the staff that they
No.
had said or anything,
No.
vice versa?
No, sir.
None? Okay. And at this point, we'll go ahead to the dais. Do you have any questions of the applicant or staff? Ms. Carey, go ahead.
I have a couple of questions from staff real quick. Thanks, Lauren. Apologize for my nasal sound right now. Battling this cold. My first question is on page, I believe it's page 7 of, I believe it's page 7. They mentioned 250 gallons per capita for wastewater for this project of 1,200 homes, approximately 3,300 people just going to roughly give a conservative estimate. When I went to go look up our new compliance in the comp plan, the last ordinance that I saw that was approved in June 23rd of last year was a maximum of 100 gallons per capita. So how is this in compliance with our comp plan?
Well, wastewater isn't, I think that's in the report is wastewater isn't guaranteed. It's.
I understand, but like, why would we want to approve something that's 2.5 times the estimated use than our actual facility that we're building right now can handle in the future?
It should be, the facility that will be built should handle that. I think the older numbers are from the previous comprehensive plan that was passed, what was it, a few years ago?
Yeah, the infrastructure element did not get approved by the state
Right.
because of Senate Bill 180. So the two chapters, we've asked Muni Code numerous times to remove them and revert them back to the old. We're trying to get them to update the numbers to the newer numbers. But because of Senate Bill 180, we haven't been able to do that yet.
So are you saying that the June 23rd amount that was updated in our plan for the 5-year improvements to the wastewater is not accurate and it's not applicable right now? It's actually less than that?
The June 23rd, well, June 23rd would be,
Because the way I read it, I understand there was a lot of legalese in it
because
with the ordinance.
25 was when we updated, and 25,
Yes.
that element got sent back to the state. We're still working with the state.
So what is the maximum that per capita that our future wastewater plant's going to have? I understand that they have to have access at the time of building, but I'm also taking consideration all of the many other developments that we have.
Yes, so what we do is we require all new developments to enter into our wastewater treatment facility capacity agreements. They have to have that before they even can get final plat
Okay.
to start. Jamie has already figured out the calculation of what we have on that have been reserved currently. And then they submit theirs, and he does the calculation to see if we have the capacity for them. They get denied if we don't have the capacity. They're good to go if we do.
So will they have to meet the maximum of 100, or will they get to have a variance of 250 if we accept this as is?
I'm not sure. I don't have the page in front of me to see what exactly you're talking about. So I'll get that with Lauren and we'll discuss it.
It's ordinance number 2025-04 CPA 2502. That was approved on 6/23/25. I pulled it up. It's objective 1.2. The city, upon adoption of the comprehensive plan, shall coordinate the extension and increase of capacity of facilities by scheduling completion of facility improvements. And then it goes furthermore for the processing of wastewater to have that 100-gallon maximum.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
Okay.
That's older data, right? That's so the comprehensive plan was updated in
April of last year.
Right, but only certain elements were updated. Well, actually, I guess all the elements were updated, but some were sent back, including
Yes, the two were sent
infrastructure,
back.
because of Senate Bill 180.
So this was subsequent to that. This was the most recent I had is this. So that's why I have confusion on if this was the maximum that anybody in our community can go search.
Right.
And this is a higher number than I've seen in previous plans, and that's why I was critical of it. Anything that puts an unjust burden on our community's facilities, especially something that's just coming in when we have a lot of communities coming online that are all going to be requesting. And this is something that I've asked at the beginning of when I came on this board, was that we should have an outgoing request of all facility capacities that are in wherever stage they're in, just to know ahead of time.
We have that. We do. We have that.
What I'm saying is for us to be able to go click it, we have ongoing, where we can click on the map to see where it's at, but the community as a whole can't go see a total of what is being requested on the whole. It's known by the city, but not by the community. So to make a fair assessment of why things are improved, especially when the community is extremely critical of us, and an advisory board or of the commission, I just want to be fair of what's being presented. When I go look up something online that's on our city that says one thing, and then this says another, that's why I brought it up.
Right.
My second question.
Can I?
Oh, sure.
May I? Also, upon application, any application, whether it's a site development plan, rezoning, future land use amendment, reviews go internally through different departments, fire, utilities, all of our departments. And after 3 rounds of review for this particular application, there were no comments about that particular level of service. So I think with the understanding that capacity isn't guaranteed, the agreements have to be entered upon
Agreed.
before.
And I know that says on every single thing, but unfortunately, when it comes down to community involvement and what people believe in us growing, they don't look at that as, they just think of it as another thing that the city is going to be providing. So that's why I was asking that question. It was something that brought up. Ironically, the non-residential sanitary sewer commercial portion of it was within the ranks of the presentation. Another question that I had for clarification is, the comp plan designates 25% of the open space in any development that's a PRD. And there's a specific request to designate and reduce this to 15%, which is kind of was glided over on the presentation. Can you give some clarification on what is the necessity of that and the corresponding value of the planned park that will somehow become responsibility of the city to maintain and operate in exchange for those 5 acres?
Well, I think the oh. Okay.
Good evening, y'all. My name is Trey Fergal. I'm with Florida Land Development Partners, 19601 Quinlan Street, Orlando, Florida, 32833. Look, we can dedicate the park. We can keep the park if it's something that's an issue for you guys as far as a maintenance issue. That can be part of a homeowners association to be maintained if it's something that the city, right? But if it's a HOA maintained park, then it's kind of an internal thing for the folks in that development as opposed to like a public park. Regardless, we're happy to work with the city. We're happy to work with staff if there's something that we need to do in order to provide some maintenance function for that park. We just thought that's a good community use. It's, inward towards the development. The buffer sizes are also greatly increased around the entire development, which contributes to the overall open space. I don't know if that answers your question.
Well, the way that I'm understanding it is the way it's being presented is that you're proposing it at 15% of open space, with where 50% of it can be storm water management, if I'm understanding it, whereas the PRD requires 25%. So what benefit does the city get or the community at large for a park that's in the center of a community, that's HOA run communities, that we have to maintain, that we had to take a liability, that we take maintenance on for the reduction of 10% of the comp plan requirements for this PRD? Are you not able to do the community without, is it not financially feasible to do the entire 25% that's required to the PRD?
Look, in coming down from the plan that's on the books with 40 acres of commercial and all of that development that's in there, in order to make the numbers work, right? There's a level of density that we need to achieve. So, the benefit of where we are right now is we're just designing on paper. So that's not particularly expensive to do. So if we need to increase the open space and reduce some of the lots, we can look at, what the layout of that looks like. If the desire of the city is to not have that park as dedicated park space, we can continue to have it and maintain it. It really just kind of falls on what the city's, pleasure is for that.
I think she's just asking why you've reduced it to 15 from 25.
Just to make the development work, to increase the buffer sizes, right? Giving it 40 acres of commercial.
So this goes back to what's the value of the 5 acres to the city? What is the cost? I would have to go to the city and ask them what's the cost to maintain that long-term liability, so forth. Those are important things that should be presented in a plan that you expect us to even give preliminary review, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. To be factual on the standing right now, I think there's a lot of open holes on that permissible, whether you offered or not, you would have to come back to us with 25% open space to meet the comp plan. So it's either meets the plan at 25%, or you give the reasons and the financial feasibility of what it's really truly going to cost the city.
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding would be the open space requirements as part of the comp plan would be applicable to a straight zoning district, would it not? Right, so coming in with a plan development gives staff a lot more input into how this is developed, setting specific standards and things like that. There's a much more collaborative process that we've been working with staff for the last several months on to produce a plan that, right, like at the end of the day, right, it's got to work and be feasible for development, but it also needs to work and be feasible for the city. So we've collaborated quite extensively with planning staff to revise what's there, right, the approvals that were already there, to try to bring something that's more consistent with the character. So I think, you know, if you want to compare the 25% open space requirement in the comp plan, then we would be looking at a straight zoning district, which doesn't give you all the input that you would have into a PRD, right? So the trade-off really is, as part of the PRD, there's a little bit more flexibility for us and a little bit more oversight for you guys to come together, hopefully with something that, you know, realizes your all's vision and our vision. So, you know, the park site is a nice amenity for the residents. It's a nice amenity for the area, and it's a nice amenity for the community. If the maintenance is an issue, you know, we don't have to dedicate that park. So if we don't dedicate that park to the city and you guys take it over as far as deeded land, then you don't have the liability, you don't have the maintenance costs.
Yeah, and we can, Jessica, we can always include your comment in the recommendation to the city commission too.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just think it's a very large decrease in a PRD, and making all things equal, I don't think the reduction of space is documented on what the benefits of the city. It's a park in the center of an HOA community. If it's not known as a city park, even if it was known as a city park, people are unlikely to go use it like they would Lois Fork or anything, because that's an open space, correct? Also, when there is additional needs to the community, if you were coming to bring a quid pro quo, because this is really exchange for exchange as far as I'm concerned, then we would look at other needs of the community. For instance, this plan is bringing approximately 700 new students to our area that's going to need additional schools. Offering land towards the front of the community that could be utilized for a future school plot that could be donated to the city to do what they wish when that need is assessed, so that we have some more assessment and really taking more control on servicing our community. That would mean make more sustainable for that area. Just some other areas. Right now, I can't see another park and additional costs, whether that is a liability or anything, as a fair assessment to the way the comp plan is addressed. The way that I looked at it and the way I understood it was it needs this 25% so that the look and the appearance of our community when you're driving in, whatever way you're driving in, looks a certain way. And when you have medium density right after agricultural land, it's a very hard change. So having a park towards the front of the community that would blend in more might have been a better choice. Again, this is just feedback.
Look, if we need to relocate the park site, I mean, at this
I'm
point
just
in the
giving
application-
suggestions
No, that's
as,
what I'm saying. I mean, we're happy to move some things around. If you feel the park site would be better closer to the road or in a more accessible place, we can certainly look at that and change the layout. I mean, that's why we're at the zoning phase, right? We
Right.
haven't gotten down to
Site
platted
plan.
lots and.
yeah, I like the fact that you guys brought it down. I was one of those people that were very for it, but I also am in consideration of all the other developments in this area. And the number of, as much as it looks appealing on paper to bring different types of housing, and I'm sorry if I'm misspeaking in front of somebody else who was going to bring up this point, we are a family community of households for a reason. And when you bring in a more higher density, you're going to bring higher population. And right now we have 9,000 people. And this proposal would bring another 3,400, which is over 30% increase just on this development alone, not counting anything else. We've already grown 18% in less than 6 years. So thinking about how the overall growth is for the community, plus this development is something it's critical. So I'm not trying to be just critical on yours only because this is the first PRD that I've come across from the beginning, but because I want it to be successful. I would never want anything that I recommend or anybody this board recommends to fail. I just honestly say that. So when I'm bringing up critical concerns, it's because I know how this community will look at something and try to tear it apart before it even starts. And this community, that Newberry Ridge was approved 14 years ago and nothing happened from it. We want it to be successful. So please don't take my negative saying or criticisms as I'm not supportive of growth. I'm supportive of responsible growth. And so I would like to know what those costs are. I'm not opposing to a park. I just need to know the full package so that I can judge the substantial evidence, which is our job in a quasi judicial area. So
And I think to some extent, right, it's hard to get down to that level of detail, especially for us as developers, because I don't have an approved zoning to move forward and continue spending money with consultants to move parks and right. So those details are going to come as we flesh this out a little bit more.
I'm going to criticize you on that.
And that's, I don't mind.
I know. I'm just going to say that I know our accounting department and they could tell you what an average park cost within a couple of questions. So it's literally just doing the due diligence and asking. We're not asking you to go spend thousands of dollars more. It's just a short meeting. You could literally go back and come back with that answers for approval.
And we're happy to do that. And I think to some extent too, it depends on what is the form of that park. Is it more of a passive recreation type thing? Is there some type of active recreation? Is it ball fields? Is it baseball fields?
Well, I mean, I think there's plenty of baseball fields across the way.
Well, I mean, that's why we want to work with you guys through this PRD.
I think it's really important about understanding Newberry. And also I think that the commissioners will ask these tough questions. I would not expect them not to. And they're the ones that are going to have the last decision on whether or not something moves forward or not. So I'm giving you these suggestions so that you come with all your balls in the line so that you are successful with it. Because right now there's some holes.
Look, and I appreciate the feedback. I was born and raised in Florida. I grew up in Lakeland. I'm well versed in development pressures and the fact that it comes for all of us wherever we are. I live on 3 acres on the outskirts of Orlando, and development keeps coming further and further to the east. So, I mean, it's something on a personal level I deal with all the time. I think trying to stop development in this state from coming is a losing battle. So the best we can all do is try to do it in a responsible manner. I can tell you personally, I'm very passionate about trying to find a solution for what's called the missing middle.
Yep.
Housing these days is such a challenge. I have a 19-year-old son and a 25-year-old son that's about to get married, and him and his fiance, I mean, they're paying over $2,500 a month in rent. It's just unsustainable. So what we're trying to bring forward is a plan that's consistent with your community, the way you guys want to grow. That's why we're in the urban service boundary. We're trying to improve on what's there and stagnated and never went anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then try to bring forward to the community an opportunity where there's some choice, right? Whether it's older folks that are, looking to leave, believe me, I'm tired of cutting my 3 acres of grass. And now that my sons aren't home anymore, which was a great thing for them to do, now it's my job.
Yeah, no.
So, my
Understood.
wife and I
Understood.
are talking about downsizing and having, for a place like Newberry to have some options besides just a single family house, I think is good for the market and the community.
Understood. Any, Ms. Thomas or Ms. Parker, do you have any comments or questions for not comments, but do you have any questions for staff?
I just want to
applicant.
make sure this is just this is not a concrete plan. This is just ideas we're putting out and seeing where we're going to be. And then these are going to go forward, and some aren't and some are, and you'll come back with ideas. We'll have ideas. I mean,
Yep.
This is just the beginning, right?
Yep.
So
And,
there's nothing in here that's like, this is where this is going.
Right, that'll come with the site.
Make sure.
Yeah, that'll come. Those questions get answered in the site development stuff.
With
Parker?
development groups and development agreements, that all that works out, the details get worked out.
Not necessarily questions, but concerns. And I haven't looked into this further. I'm no expert, but I read something about providing a loop system with Countryway as far as the wastewater and stuff. I've heard issues with that catching and clogging in curves and things. And so I don't know if there's another option. I am not an expert. Again, I don't know about wastewater or running the pipes or anything. But I have heard issues with a looped system and having clogs and maintenance in some of that. Again, it's just a concern, and unfortunately, we don't really have a whole lot of control on the state roads. But the traffic, as we build this and across the street with the baseball fields and all of that that's coming there, all hitting on 30th.
Yeah, I can speak to that a little if you want me
Okay, sure.
to. Yeah, DOT is already aware of that with the Sandia across the street. They're actually already looking at trying to realign the connection. But you've got the FDOT involved, you've got CSX involved. And if it goes through the first reading at the commission, then it actually will go to the state and they'll start looking at those pieces of the puzzle, so to speak, to start making sure that those sort of things address. It wasn't spoken to tonight, but in the backup, you can see that there is a paved road that goes to their
Okay.
eastern boundary, I think. And that connection up to the top
Into the
is
next
to,
PRD.
it's to the PRD for
And
the
that's
eastern.
Reset approved.
That one I don't think has come before us yet,
Okay.
but
That didn't.
we
look
already know
familiar
it's
to
kind
me.
of in the queue. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's still conceptual
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. Yeah.
And my only other feedback, I see that there's a buffer at that front line.
Mhm. Yeah.
We talk about being around ag, and I know you've increased the buffers already, but right in that front on the road, if you can plan for a drain or, water retention in the front that adds that little bit more of green space there for visuals, to keep it more green in the front and promote that ag space. I actually like the park being in the front as an idea also to add more green space up front and accessibility so it doesn't feel like you're driving into someone's neighborhood to go to the park. That's kind of an awkward, I feel like situation. It wouldn't feel as welcoming. But putting it at the front again keeps that ag space in the front and makes it more green.
Thank you. Okay. Does either the applicant or staff have any kind of final argument or anything like that? No?
I
All
just,
right.
I just
Yes,
wanted
ma'am.
to bring one thing up. I've looked
Yes, ma'am.
everywhere in the PRD and cannot find a 25% coverage. I've only found 15% coverage, which meets the code. So I've looked everywhere. So are you? What report?
It's in the report that was presented by them.
Yeah.
Well, it's 15% is what the code requires. So if they've got the numbers wrong, it's clearly in the code at 15%. So that's why I've been racking my brain trying to figure out where the
I
25%.
only brought it
The
up. because
25% was in here somewhere.
Yeah.
It is. I will
So-
find the exact.
25% is it mixed use?
Uh,
It was the
Madam-
previous. Yeah.
In which 50% can be shared stormwater, correct?
Mhm.
So they mentioned two percentages in there. They mentioned the 25% to 15, and then they also mentioned another 20%. Go to the correct page. I believe it was page 18 or 19. Give me a second.
This is within the application?
Yes.
Madam Attorney, while looking that up, could you please advise the decision-making body of the applicable law and factual findings?
Yes, in considering this petition, you should have listened to the evidence presented to you both verbally and the written evidence in your packet and base your decision on competent substantial evidence.
Okay, thank you.
Page 20.
All right, we'll bring it back to the board. Ms. Jessica, your microphone's still on.
I'm sorry, I was finding the page. Page 23,
Yeah.
under the recreational facilities and open space analysis, it says the city's comprehensive
Pagination
plan.
number or the
Page 23 of our packet.
of the packet?
Yes.
Yeah, there it is. You're right.
Sorry. I can see what the page of their actual thing is. Page 11.
Yeah, page 11 of your presentation page 23 of our backup.
So it says, particularly within the planned development mixed-use districts, to designate 25% of total project area for open recreational space. Then it talks about medium density was not specified land use. Newberry Ridge understands the importance of providing functional and communal space. Then it talks about the 50% designated allow for storm water management. And then it says additional minimum 20% of project area will be maintained for common open spaces and facilities, which I thought was a little confusing between that and the 15, because how are you designating what's 15, what's 20? Are they considering internal spaces, things like that?
Okay.
There's clarification.
Okay. If there's no other deliberations, I'll entertain a motion this time. So you can approve with conditions, approve straight, or deny the application. What's that? You don't think you know? I would, since it meets all of the requirements and there are a couple of hanging questions, I suppose, I would probably just recommend approve with conditions to clarify the minimum open space and some attention on, the site plan with your recommendation of pulling the park up to the front.
Since it was my idea about the park, I will motion with conditions, but I would like some information for the commission to have all their facts.
Okay.
Ideas of moving it to the park, whether it's the left or right side. Make that idea. It needs to be accessible to all the community. The city should come prepared to explain what the long-term costs are going to be to the community. And what those diverse needs of this park is going to be different than anywhere else, especially since we have 16 ball fields plus other planned things across the way that is going to take care of that part of the area. I'm one of those people that believe benefits need to be discussed on that and how that transition is going to be noted to list the reduction, that consideration.
Okay. Is there a second?
I would like to ask a question. The conditions have been met. The percentages have been met. The city is saying that this is correct. Is that right?
Yes, we looked at, whenever we analyze an application or take a look at an application, we, refer to the comprehensive plan and look at the goals, objectives, and policies and levels of service. Some of those things can't be determined immediately. And in fact, there's a whole section in our code about concurrency and, that traffic might not be, and might not be able to know what the traffic is, the impact is
Right.
immediately upon this particular, initial application. So, yeah, but as far as goals, objectives, policies, some levels of service, it has
City
been met.
the city is saying it's been met.
Right.
Okay.
And also, just as a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval of the future land use change from mixed use to residential medium density. And so one requirement is to keep the comprehensive plan and the future land use maps consistent with the zoning map and land development regulations.
Thank you.
Second.
I'll second.
I just have a concern. So we have these LDRs, but we can't change them and we were going to. And so we're like stuck right now with what we've had and not being able to update what we actually want. And so I have to approve because we have to.
More.
Well, the only thing that we have, Melina, just is to go back to that, is they have 1 year to come with a final plan. That's our only backstop that we have as a recommending body, is that And that's the reason why so many of these developments, they get approved and nothing happens because they don't move along or develop fast enough.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the only safeguard that we have. That's why I'm okay. As long as they present those things, the commission has to make that tough choice. And they're the ones that are going to have to answer at the ballot box if they approve something that without considering how it's going to impact the entire community. All we can do is recommend based on the information that's presented to us.
And answer questions.
That's why I was so critical of that 25% because what was presented to us.
I'd also speculate that some of the more of the LDR stuff would answer questions that you have that would come with the site development also. Because that
Yes.
is a little bit more definitive. Because we're really, at the end of the day, we're just entertaining the
The idea.
the rezoning part. Not what it looks like, not the color, not the fixtures and the finishes and what appliances we're putting in the house or any of that stuff. So we're just kind of saying, yes, a house can go here.
Okay.
But all the particulars, they'll come later on. We'll have another bite at that apple.
Okay.
All right. If there's no other discussion, all those,
I was just going to ask you
Oh,
regarding the LDR changes, what if the LDRs were able to be changed, what would change your idea on?
I'm not certain on that. I just hate to get locked into something when I knew we were going to work on that and making it fit what we're looking for. And I'm not sure what would change specifically in the LDRs, just that we can't.
gotcha. Okay. If there's no other further deliberations, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Hesitantly, aye.
Yeah, hesitantly high.
With conditions, of course, and we'll go back.
With conditions, make it very clear before
Yeah.
anybody reports it with conditions.
And staff just kind of go back and summarize what was discussed from Ms. Carey in the motion about those. I think there was like 3 things in there. Okay. Motion passes unanimous, 3-0. Okay. All right. Agenda items for discussion. I guess there is none. Topics for discussion by the members. Ms. Kathy, I see your lights on. What did you want to discuss?
No.
Oh. We just have one item tonight.
Sure. All right. So the Watermelon Festival is next month, 81st year, 81st year. Yeah. Gosh.
81st annual.
1946. I don't, for the people who aren't really from Newberry, agriculture has sustained this community since World War I, II, and hopefully not anytime soon, anything else. However, we celebrate that, and we're joining with the city this year to kind of go along with the patriotic theme, and our t-shirts are going to be here soon, and they're going to be fantastic. Oh my gosh, they're going to be so great. They go along with the patriotic theme. And there'll be beauty pageants. If anybody wants any information about that, you can go on the Newberry Watermelon Festival.com website. You can get all the application sponsorship forms, the schedule of events for that Saturday, May 16th. All of our proceeds from parking, this is a major thing we have every year. We do charge $5 a car to park. All of that money goes to our scholarship fund. We gave $8,000 in scholarships last year to our high school. We focus on, I wouldn't say we focus. We give first choice to vocational and certificate programs. For our scholarships, we're not necessarily looking for someone who's making 4.0. We're looking at somebody who's hardworking, maybe going into a field of electrician, plumbing, carpentry, construction, things of that nature. So our scholarships are very diverse. We try to really support our schools. I think last year we put around $11,000 in our 3 different schools. So worthy calls, like it's fun. A lot of things that we do are just the same as not me, whoever was there in 1946. I wasn't, although someone in my family has
Thank
been
you
on
for
that
the
committee since 1946.
Thank you for the clarification.
I have to do that. Say she was there.
Oh,
It's a really good, it's a good time. It's just decent family fun, and I encourage everyone to come out that day, starting with the parade. The mayor will be in the parade, the mayor at about 11 o'clock. I'm not looking at my schedule, but he'll spit the first seed to open like we do at the ballpark with the ball. And we'll get started. If anybody has any questions, see me afterwards. I'll try to answer them.
Topics, Ms. Parker?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You can also find the Newberry Historical Association will be at the Watermelon Festival. We will have a tent. We are doing a membership drive running through until April of next year. So if you join as a member, all of your fees are waived for the first year. And then we will also have a raffle basket at our tent at the Watermelon Festival. So come by, get a ticket or 5 or 10 and see what we have going on.
Ms. Carey?
I did. I forgot.
What did you forget?
My raffle. Go ahead.
There's a raffle for the Watermelon Festival as well, Ms. Thomas.
Yeah, a cooler.
A cooler. Is there a cooler by our,
Cooler that's like patriotic, and it has a
Oh,
gift
patriotic cooler.
certificate for a meat box from NC Beef.
Oh, we're not messing around.
And 2 t-shirts.
Sounds like the North Fleet
$5
customized cooler is what it's going to
$5
be.
per ticket, and you do
$5
not have to
per
be present
ticket.
to win.
Okay. I wanted to thank everybody who came out and voted last week, even through the horrible traffic that we were going through. So thanks for those 13% of you that showed up. Those of you who didn't, please get involved so that everyone can have a say. I do want to mention that the PTO at Newberry Elementary School has their book fair this week. So if any parents are watching and you haven't put your money in there, please do so. As someone who's volunteered, it's really sad when kids want to go buy a book and they can't, and they see their classmates. Or if you're fortunate enough and you can donate to help other kids in need or teachers, that'd be wonderful as well. And then last but not least, it's Teachers Appreciation Week across the nation. But specifically, NES is going to be doing something special for all the teachers every day. So if there's somebody that wants to be extra generous and you want to give something to those teachers, please feel free to reach out to the PTO or myself. I'll be happy to pick it up and donate it for their raffle that they do themselves. It's our way to give back to the teachers who do so much for our kids. We'll go down that hole. And then I do want to, God bless our troops that are abroad right now and servicing. I know a lot of people out of sight, out of mind, but there's a lot of people that are serving right now. So just want to say a little thought and prayer for them.
Madam Attorney, do you have anything? All right. I don't have anything tonight either, so we are adjourned. Thank you all.